Cubic yards just today.
So that we're clear on something here. In order to prevent times have you killed me? In order to prevent those deaths, you only needed to prevent one. That's the one that Roger Lott caused. There were no others. They keep alluding to this trap that I was in Kansas as though that can be characterized as a characteristic of who I am when it was a catalyst from a number of things that brought me to the realization that that was the advice that I even got from a doctor. This is it. This is it. So there's nothing left for me to do. Obviously, everybody around me has lost their fucking mind because the girl I was with at the time, I, there were people were comfortable next to the Catholic Church building graves of small children. And the girl I was with, the second girl I was with in Kansas, was beating her child. And her mom, that she said was beating her, was a bad mom to her, was there at the same time trying to rob me, taking away my ability to take care of Tierra. That's her name. So at that, I was, what's the damn point? I mean, what is the point here? For me, at that point, I was rather young. So I swallowed a bunch of Tylenol. Thinking that I would just pass out, go to sleep, and never wake up and have to deal with child murder again. But unfortunately, two EMTs got me out to the truck and told me that, sir, you can't kill yourself with Tylenol, but take this here stuff and you're going to throw up black stuff. And we're going to take you over to the hospital and let them talk to you about whatever it was, because we got to have a 72-hour hold on you. I think back then it was 48 hours. So they took me and had me locked up for that. So that is on my record, on a criminal record, because who was actually called was not the EMTs that arrived. It was the police that were being called by Tierra's mother and grandmother at the time. Two people who were robbing me at the time, at that very moment, were robbing me, were calling the police on me, telling the police I was a drug dealer. I mean, they were really on the phone. So I'm like, okay, because if I leave, I couldn't imagine Tierra being safe. So I thought maybe, this is an out because Tierra wasn't there. And so that situation ended with me talking to a doctor where that can of worms was opened at the same time Jay-Z released the Black label. And I was inspired by Jay-Z's Black label. As a black man, I was like, okay, he's saying something that nobody understands. And that's got to be the coolest art I've ever could imagine, is that he had used his fame to say something that no one could understand, but it was relatable to every black man I knew. The Black label. But no black man I knew would understand what the fuck he was talking about. They would just bob their heads to it. But that was an opening at the same time that I had this opening to child murder is enough for me, God, holla at you. But I met this woman at this office that says, don't you think you've done enough in Wichita? And it was my realization that, yeah, and I'm also not the type of person that's gonna sit in one spot. I knew that, but as a kid, I'm a traveler. So I've heard other people say how they've gotten held down by all these different type of things, and at that point, that doctor made me realize, okay, well, you're not being yourself right now, so just be yourself. And that's what I've been doing. But I've caught a few people trying to exploit that, like the Red Fox on a phone call recording me while knowing what the reality of what wasn't being recorded was that, bitch, you were laying in the bed with me, snoring, when a white man called me and told me they were taking my baby brother forever. And you were lying in a bed, snoring. And you assume my thoughts right now are about you. I still to this day, I want to show him what the cause and effect would look like if that were actually true. If you were lying in a bed snoring and I was actually giving thought to what the fuck you thought at the time, or even who the fuck you were at the time, other than just this thing right here. There's nothing. Anyway, that being said, nothing has changed who I am, including Roger Lott. So there is nothing about Roger Lott's disappearance that's going to change the fucking fact that, yes, bitch, the Amis, the Gabba, all of that is still to catch you. All these bitches at the Social Security Administration that you piling up and piling up and piling up to protect your motherfucking ass ain't gonna help the plain fact that a man named Roger Lott picked up that motherfucking phone after I got through talking to Jamie. Jamie had a problem, and then a man named Roger Lott came on the phone. I have said several things to clarify what happened between myself and Roger Lott. Now, I can't tell you why Roger Lott ain't said back to me, but I know a lot of evidence and a lot of witnesses are piling up to prove that Roger Lott is the driving of the chariot that is the moving force attempting to kill Zori Rush right now. There's no question in my mind that Roger Lott is driving that motherfucking train. No question. Now, I don't know the bitch. I wouldn't know the bitch if I saw her. But I know he identified himself as Roger Lott on behalf of the world's defense system. So you take from that whatever the fuck you will. I'm waiting on Roger's response to what I've just said about the furthering. So whenever you're ready, Roger.
We're able to protect sensitive sites against collection.
Montana Democratic Senator John Tester writes, "We knew all along that China's invasion of our airspace was no accident. There's nothing more important than America safe, and I'll keep holding the Biden administration accountable to ensure Montanans' freedom and privacy are."
But like I said, you've piled up plenty of people willing to murder Zori Rush for Roger Lott. Now, why these strange ass people willing to kill Zori Rush for Roger Lott, I don't know. But James Christopher Blackwell, I damn sure got a right to know.
A former defense secretary wonders why the spycraft wasn't shot down sooner.
Wow, it's a simple bureaucratic incompetence on our side